About 50. You still don't know how old she is and you're in prison?
I still don't know how old she was.
She was 15.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Tell me exactly what you and she did and what your charges were. You were originally charged with child abuse.
Well, yeah, I lived with her and we made videos with each other. And I know that I was wrong for that. I was wrong.
And yep, he shows up to his parole hearing still claiming he had no idea how old she was. This is something that we see far too often. Now, he was part of a large sting operation where they picked up many of these different offenders here in Louisiana. So we're going to probably see a handful of them coming up in the next few years. But let's jump into this parole hearing. Here we go.
Ready? Okay. You are Jordan Johnson, DOC 728-533. You're classified as a second felony offender. You were sentenced December of 2017 for simple burglary. You received a 3-year sentence. You were afforded probation. However, that was revoked in September of 2019 when you got a new felony conviction, that being carnal knowledge. You received a 4-year sentence, and obscenity, a 3-year sentence. Those are running concurrently. So your total DOC sentence is 4 years. Your parole eligibility is June 23rd, 2022. You do not earn good time, so your full term date is June 24th, 2023. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Mirabella.
Mr. Johnson, good morning. My name is Tony Marabella. Your case was assigned to me, so I'll start our interview process. How old are you, sir?
23.
23? And
Yes,
how
sir.
long did you prison these charges?
I've been in prison 34 months.
34 months?
Yes, sir.
Did you serve any time on the burglary charge, or was it just straight probation?
I sat in jail 3 months and then I made probation.
And you were on probation at the time you got caught these charges?
Yes, sir.
Tell me exactly in your own words, and I want you to be honest with me, what you did that got you in prison.
I was still being young and I messed with a female younger than me, and I slept with her and everything, and I guess it was the child in me, and I was still, by me being young, I was still acting young. I was still trying to be a 17-year-old little boy, and I was a grown man at the time.
How old were you?
I was 20 years old.
And how old was she?
I think she was like 16, 17. I don't know her
About
exact.
15.
Sir?
About 50. You still don't know how old she is and you're in prison?
I still don't know how old she was.
She was 15.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Tell me exactly what you and she did and what your charges were. You were originally charged with child abuse.
Well, yeah, I slept with her and we made videos with each other. And I know that I was wrong for that. I was wrong.
Now you've taken, it looks like one, perhaps 2 classes or phases of sex offender treatment there at Bossier. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
How many phases are there for the sex offender treatment? Aren't there 4?
Yes, sir. It's 4 phases.
So you've done 2 so far.
No, I've done all 4.
You've done all 4 of them?
Yes, sir.
You complete the 3rd and 4th one.
Yes, sir.
When did you complete them?
I completed them in February.
This year?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you learned in those programs that might help you not to do this again.
I learned the 27 risk factors and justify, blame, denial. You know, it's just, I learned all of the risk factors.
Okay, let me stop you. I guess my question was very poorly asked. Tell me what you learned that applies specifically to you that will help you not do this in the future. So if there's
I
some
learned-
of the 27 risk factors that apply to you, tell me about it.
Okay, I learned that I was justifying my actions, saying, that I was justifying my actions, saying that I'm not that old and everything. But in all actuality, I was too old to be messing with her. And I understand everything. Like when I first came to jail, I was in denial. I was trying to blame her for everything, but in all actuality, it was myself. So I had to do some self-reservations and look at myself. I know that I did wrong, and I have a sister her age, and I just should have been more considerate. I did wrong.
What do you think she goes through or what she's going through right now as a result of what happened?
I know it probably messed up mentally, and I know she's going through a lot, and I know her family's going through a lot, and I'm truly sorry for everything that I put them through.
Why is that bad? Why is what you did bad? Why is there something wrong with what you did?
Because of the age difference. Because of the age differences, it's like I took advantage of her because she's younger than me. And my mind is fully grown and her mind is not grown yet. I did wrong.
Now, I also see that you've done Steve Hoyle. Have you done that?
Yes, sir. I did Steve Hall.
How many phases did you do in that?
I did I did 2 or 3 phases.
What did you learn in that program?
Well, I did empathy awareness. I did living in balance, anger management, and math. I learned that, I learned a lot from all those different classes that could help me in that work when I get into the world, into society.
Have you ever used drugs or alcohol?
I smoke marijuana
How often were you smoking marijuana?
constantly,
Every day?
almost every day.
And what is your plan to stay sober when you get out?
Well, my plan to stay sober is to work hard, get a job with my mother, and, handle business. I lost a lot of time. I have 4 kids and I lost a lot of time with them. My son is 5 years old. I left when he was 2, and
You have
I
4 children?
just don't want to end up like everybody else. The guys that's in prison, I don't want to end up like.
Stop. You have 4 children?
Yes, sir.
How many mothers to those children?
2.
And were you living with those mothers while this was going on?
The mother of 3 of my children was living with me and my mother when it happened.
When all this was going on?
Yes, sir.
You see anything wrong with that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Tell me about that.
I had a woman that was there for me, and I decided to cheat on her, constantly cheat on her. And, that might have ruined the relationship between me and her, and I might never be able to fix it.
Are y'all still together? You expect to be together with her when you get out?
Yes, sir, but it's hard because she done moved away and she wants me to come home and be with her and my kids, but I know one thing, that I can't be around them. I have to get myself together. I have to focus on staying out of jail, staying out of trouble, period. I have to get a good job, and so I could provide for her and my kids.
How are you going to stay sober? You tell me you're going to get a job, and but what's your plan to stay sober?
Well,
Classified by us as a very high risk to recidivate. That's a problem for me. So tell me how you intend to stay sober when you get out.
I would probably attend a drug class. And
What does the drug class look like to you? What are you describing a drug class to be?
like AA and
Have you ever gone to an AA meeting?
no, sir, I haven't.
Do you know anything about AA?
Not only what my teacher in here was telling me about it.
Okay.
My
Now, you
living
say you
balance.
went through the Steve Hall program. Steve Hall is really dedicated for drugs and alcohol. You didn't take any substance abuse in Steve Hall?
I took the substance abuse class, but I don't know for firsthand for being in a class what it looks like or I know they talk about your drug problems. I know they talk about your alcohol problems. I know like me and my teacher used to talk about the drugs and everything and how it impairs your mind and consistent use
What
of.
you do, if you get out tomorrow, what's the first thing you're gonna do if you get out tomorrow? What you gonna do?
Register,
Okay,
try to get me a good job in the plants with my mother,
okay.
and just work and stay out of trouble. I mean, the
Yeah.
drugs is the farthest thing away from my mind right now. Like, I done lost a lot of time in my life. 3 years is a lot.
So you think you're okay now not to go back to smoking marijuana or doing any other kind of drugs?
Yes, sir.
Where are you gonna live, with your mother?
Well, until I get out, yeah, I'm gonna live with my mother until I get on my feet. And when I get on my feet, I'm gonna give me my own house or something just to, be by myself and focus on getting everything right.
What kind of skills do you have? What kind of jobs have you ever had on the outside?
Well, my first job was I worked at Little Caesars. My second job
You
was
worked at, sorry, I didn't hear you.
I worked at Little Caesars. My second job was McDonald's. My third job was working the cashier at Circle K.
How long did you work each of those jobs?
Well, I worked at Little Caesars for 2 years. I worked at Circle K for a year. I worked at McDonald's for like 6 months
Why'd you leave Little Caesars?
because, well, I just got tired of working there.
Where did you go straight then to the other job?
Yes, sir. I kept a job. I never went without a job once I got old enough. I enjoyed working.
Deputy Perriman, what can you tell us about Mr. Johnson?
I don't have daily dealings with him. As a general rule, for me, if I'm not familiar with them and their name, that is definitely a good thing. And I'm not familiar with him and his name. No type of, write-ups, getting in trouble or anything like that, that's, will bring him to attention. So, I mean, other than that, and I think y'all have some information from Jason Johnson with the DOC classes and stuff. I think he missed the time frame and everything to get logged in, but he wanted me to be sure to let you know that and everything. But now, if I don't know who they are, that's definitely a good thing.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Classes. I saw a couple of classes. What other, Mr. Johnson, what other classes have you taken besides I have that you have taken a victim accountability letter training, the Bossier substance abuse sex offender class. I only had 1 and 2. But you say you've done all 4, and I've got you at Steve Hoyle, phase 1. What other classes have you taken?
I took the sex offender treatment program. I got my certificate for the sex offender treatment program, 4 phase, and I took anger management. I took living in balance. I took mass. I took empathy awareness.
Okay, I've got most of those. I didn't have the last two sex offender treatments. So thank you. That's all the questions.
All right, Mr. Johnson, is there something you'd like to say to us before we vote?
I just want to say that I know that everything that I did was wrong, and it's been eating me up inside because I know that I scarred her. I know that I scarred her family. And right now, I don't know what's running through their heads, but I do know that I'm very sorry for this, and I won't never do this again. I took a lot of time on my life, a lot of time from my kids, a lot of time from my mother, my father. And I have a strong support system that will help me when I do re-enter society. I just,
All right.
just want a new start.
All right. We're going to hear from your family now. Let's hear from your mother, Miss Maya. Ma'am, we'd like to hear from you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Morning. ahead.
I'm John. Am I on the camera? Can y'all
No,
see
ma'am,
me?
we can hear you fine. Go ahead.
Oh, but y'all can't see me.
No, ma'am.
I don't know what happened to the, okay. Start my video. There I go. Hello?
Ma'am.
Okay, how y'all doing this morning?
Good, thank you.
I'm Jordan's mom. My name's Latanya Mayo. I'm here, supervisor at Fraterner Industries. I work at the refinery. My concern is to get him a job upon with us here. I already talked with my supervision, and they don't mind. He's gonna live with me. I'm gonna support him. I'm gonna back him. You know, he was young when this happened, and I supported him then, and I support him now. I don't really think he knew the circumstances of what was going on, and from what we were told, that the young lady falsified her age, and she was, you know, multiple guys. But by Jordan being who he is, he should have asked a question. He should have asked her age and then acted. But they were kids at the time. He was young, and I feel like he's, you know, he had he jumped into a whole nother world that he didn't even know what he was getting into. Now he knows what he got into, and and we, you know, we talked about it and stuff like that, and he understand now. You know, he has to be aware of his surroundings. The drug part, we're gonna do everything that we possibly can. Like he said, that's the further thing for Miss Mon right now, and right out here we do regular drug screenings and all that, so that will not be. But I'm hoping to welcome him home, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to support him and give him a good start.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. We'd like to hear from David Johnson. Brother, go ahead, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good.
I would like to say on my brother's behalf that I know that he's been through a lot, and this is his first time going through the experience of being incarcerated. So I know the experience that he's went through then changed him, and now he knows the situation. He knows the consequences of his actions. So hopefully he makes better decisions when he gets home. I know he has 4 kids out here, which are my nieces and nephews that miss him. And I know that when he was home, he was working. He was a manager. Like, he know how to run businesses. He knows what to do. He just made a mistake as a kid, that we all made mistakes. And I just don't want this mistake to dictate him in the future to make better decisions. So I just wish my brother well, and I ask that y'all bless him with the chance to reunite with his family and get a chance to raise his kids the proper way.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And Sister Latoya Mayo.
Hello, how y'all doing this morning? My name is Latoya Mayo. I'm Jordan's older sister, and I practically raised him, and he's a good guy. He was a good kid growing up. I know he made a mistake in what he did, but I just hoping and wishing. I know he got kids that he need to get home to and take care of. I just wanted to hoping that he could be able to have that blessing to come home and raise his kids and have family time again like we used to. Like I said, I know he was young when he did what he did. He should have acted like my mother said. And at the end of the day, like I told him before, it should have never been it because he had someone at home and he wouldn't have to be in this predicament. But I know how it is or whatever to be away from your family. And I just wanted the blessings to have him come home, and hopefully y'all can give him the blessings to come home and be with his family and his kids once again. I know kids make mistakes as a young adult, but it's always that maybe can we get that second chance?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to give us your remarks. All right, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Johnson, you've taken some good programs. Steve Hoyle is a great program, but I'm a little concerned that you don't really have a plan to stay sober. I think your mother said, I think kind of what you said. And I think the comment was drugs are the furthest thing from my mind right now. And I really need that to be the forefront of your mind, to stay off of drugs. I'm not sure whether it was your judgment back when you were 19 and 20 years old that led you to these crimes, or whether it was the drugs in addition to your judgment that led to those things. But clearly the drugs are a big part of that. I would have hoped that having done some of Steve Hoyle, you would have gotten to learn more about AA and the 12 steps. And I think that's critical for you to have a plan or a blueprint to be able to stay sober. I had hoped you were going to tell me as soon as you got out, you were going to find an AA meeting. You told me you were going to get a job, you were going to do this, you were going to do that. I heard nothing about substance abuse. And that's my concern. So I'm hoping that between now and the time you get out, you're getting out next June, regardless of what happens today. I'm hoping that you can take some classes that will teach you the 12 steps, and you can live your life with the 12 steps, so you can have a plan to stay sober. My vote today is to deny you, but to encourage you to take programs that will help you stay sober when you get out. Thank you.
Sir.
Let us finish voting, sir. Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to vote to grant. And the reason I'm going to vote to grant is because I think you need supervision. If we wait till next year, you're going to have no supervision. No one to make you go to those sex offender classes. No one to make you go to the 3 AA meetings that make as a requirement. So that and also the curfew.
All right, Mr. Johnson, you've got one vote to deny and one vote to grant. Because of the nature of your charge, I think that the end result's going to be to deny. But I would agree that I think you need supervision between now and then. You get you good time out in June, just in a couple of months. The full term is next year. But because you've received one vote to deny, 2 votes to grant, the end result today is that your parole's been denied. You need to develop a plan for a solid plan for your sobriety, sir. Wish you well. Today your parole's been denied. Good luck to you. Deputy Chairman, that concludes our business at Webster. We'll adjourn. It's 10:24.
Peanuts down there.
Thank you.
I don't know what information is wrong, which information is accurate, but the information that Richard found me from this article, where they cracked down on 12 Louisiana, look at them right here. All these to think, huh? To think. And they cracked down on them in 2019, and they go through the list of what each of them were arrested for. And Jordan, he was arrested on 4 counts of production and 4 counts of distribution under the age of 13. It was the result of an investigation by the LBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Louisiana, Probation, Parole, and Sulphur Police Department. Because remember, he was on probation when he did this. So it really wouldn't surprise me at all if she was under that age, because the parole board sometimes doesn't seem to get the records right. Now, it could also be that this news agency made a mistake and no one caught it. I don't know. Or it could be that they decided to drop certain charges and only charge him for others. I mean, that's pretty normal for Louisiana. You know, they invest all this time in doing research and trying to see and trying to catch them. And he probably, my guess is, again, I'm just guessing. I don't have any proof of this. It's speculation. But if he was trading it, maybe he was part of some group and he actually was trading it. And was somehow caught up in this group that was caught. It does, you know, you don't just have a sting operation happen where they go and arrest 12 people if there's no connection. You would assume, right? But no, he played it off to be like, he was 20. She was, I don't know how old she was. How old do you think she was? Oh, 17. 17 is legal in consent in Louisiana. Maybe 16. How about 15? Well, how about under 12?
Lisa Marshall, and my DOC number is 464731.
All right, Ms. Marshall, my name is Cheryl Renats. I'm chairman of today's parole panel. Let me read some identifying information into the record. We'll get started with the interview process.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Marshall, you're classified as a 4th felony offender. You're currently serving a 4-year sentence for conviction, simple burglary under 2 different dockets in Calcasieu Parish. You have a parole eligibility date, which was August 12th, 2022. Good time is November 12th, 2022, and your full term is August 12th, 2025. Is all that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as I mentioned, your case was assigned to me, so I'm going to take the lead on the interview. So you're classified as a 4th felony offender. How old are you?
I'll be 42 October 10th.
Next month. All right. I did make a note. You have a birthday next month. And how long have you been in jail this time?
Going on 14 months.
14 months of a 4-year sentence. Is this the longest period of time you've been in jail?
No, ma'am. I served a 6-year sentence in 2015.
And that was for possession of Schedule 2. Were you paroled or you got out on good time?
Good time.
So I see you got out on good time in 2017. You were released early for uncompliance credits in 2019. So what happened? Why are you back in jail?
Well, actually, I just kind of got started off in the wrong direction, hanging around the wrong people, and got back on drugs. And so I just really, I had to stay sober and stay clean and if I want to have anything in life or have any dealings with my children and I'm planning on, we talked to the Oxford House and I'm planning on going to a sober living house whenever I get out. And, just to.
You ever had treatment?
Yes, ma'am.
Where at?
In Baton Rouge at the Grove.
What type of program was that? That was inpatient?
Yes, ma'am.
How long of a program?
28 days, and then I lived in sober living for 6 months afterwards.
And that was before your 2015 conviction?
No, actually, I did that in 2018. And then that was before I relapsed. And I moved back to Lake Charles and got in a bad relationship, and just went through some things. I'm really lucky to be alive. I got shot accidentally, being intoxicated, and I just, this time I really want to better my life and stay sober.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So tell us about your children. You said you wanted to be in your children's life. How many? You got 3 children?
Yes, ma'am. One is just turned 16. She's living at my little girl's dad's mom and dad. They have custody of her. And then I have my youngest little boy, he's 15, and my 25-year-old daughter, they both live with my mom. And I'm just now getting my relationship in order with my 25-year-old. She's been mad at me, and I just, I'm getting older, they're getting older, and I just need to stay sober and, do the right thing. I don't want to end up the rest of my life in jail. I've come a long way, and I really appreciate the opportunity I've gotten while I've been here. I've got 5 certifications that I would like to go home and,
That's the, tell us about your certification.
Ma'am, I got the forklift, I got core, I got heavy equipment, utility tractor, heavy equipment, level 1, construction site orientation.
Are you currently enrolled in risk management?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
When did that finish?
And December 7th. We just finished the first days last week.
You have a good time date in November.
Ma'am?
You have a good time date, which is in November.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you learning? Are you getting anything out of the risk management?
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. You have your risk score, you have a moderate risk, which means based on your history, you have a moderate risk to reoffend. According to the needs assessment that the Department of Corrections does, you have a high needs, and that's because of your substance abuse issue. So you're trying to address that now with the risk management program. And you say you're getting a lot out of it. I'm glad to hear that. Sounds to me like maybe you're turning the corner. I hope so. You're safe and for your family's sake. I can't vote for you today because I want you to finish the program. I don't even know that you'll even get all the way to the end because your good time date is in November, but if the program doesn't in December. But I think it's important that you take as much of that as you can. It sounds like you have a good transition plan with the Oxford House and sober living. So I don't have any other questions of you. I'll refer to my colleagues to see if they have any questions. So you don't. Is there anything you'd like to say to us?
I just thank you for the opportunity to come here in front of y'all today.
Now, I'm sure it was helpful to be able to articulate your plans and verbalize those to us, and I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and vote. As I've indicated, my vote's going to be to deny your parole because I think the risk management program is very important for you. Mr. Roche?
I vote that when I deny based on extensive criminal history and proximity of a good time date.
And this is why.
It was great meeting you, Lisa. I believe that you're done. I do. I believe that you're not coming back. I just wish you well, but my vote is to deny as well for the reasons stated. And try to get some parenting classes while you're there.
Okay.
That's
All right. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So that concludes our business at LTCW. We're going to close out. It's 9:15 a.m. Thanks for your help today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry about the sound quality. I think the air condition was cutting in and making that noise, but I don't have much to share except that she did get out at her good time date on November 12, 2022, and then was pretty quickly on August 29, 2023, She was locked back up. Unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, simple burglary of inhabited dwelling, simple burglary, theft under $1,000. Thank you, Richard, for sharing this information. I don't. Yeah, that's just sad. You know, addiction it's a real thing. It's so sad.
Classified as a second offender. Offenses: stalking and simple burglary. Sentencing date is October 12, 2020. Sentenced to 2 years at DOC hard labor concurrent and 5 years DOC at hard labor concurrent. Parole date is August 19, 2021. Good time is October 22nd, 2021. Full term is May 20th, 2025. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. Good morning, Mr. Abear. How are you?
All right, good morning.
Good. Mr. Abear, I'm gonna enter some information into the record, and we're gonna have a conversation. I'll have a couple of questions, and hopefully you'll have the right answers. You are currently 39 years old, and you've been incarcerated just at 1 year on a 5-year sentence. You're a second felony offender with a history of violence and harassment of people. You have an extensive criminal background, which is chock full of violence. In 1999, disturbing the peace. 2001, 2 counts of simple battery. 201, simple criminal damage to property. 201, harassing telephone language. 202, telephone communications in proper language, harassment. 2003, simple battery, criminal damage to property. 203, harassment, improper language, telephone communication. 204, simple battery. It goes on and on and on. So tell me where all of this anger against loved ones or friends or just general people came from.
This was caused by bad breakups with girlfriends, and you know, it happened, and
So after the breakups, you turned to drugs?
nothing.
You have quite a few drug charges: manufacturing, distribution, and possession of marijuana. Tell me about that.
That was a long time ago when I was in my 20s. Yeah, I did. I tried them, I did drugs back then, but it's been a long time.
A long time, okay. And you've been arrested just recently in 2014 for operating a vehicle while intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
So alcohol is a problem too?
No, sir. I don't drink that much. It's just one of the times I have one drink and I got in the car and drove.
Yeah. And that one time you got caught.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about the programs that you've completed since your incarceration.
Re-entry is the only one I was qualified for here. I don't qualify for no other classes here.
So you hadn't had any anger management classes?
They don't have anything here.
No substance abuse.
I tried and tried that, said I don't qualify.
Okay. Oh, you qualify for anger management. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Tell me about your disciplinary issues since incarceration.
No write-ups. I go to work. That's it. I don't do
Okay.
nothing in here but go.
Okay. Do you work at the facility?
Sir,
Or are you on the transitional work program?
no, sir. I'm in a laundry here.
Okay, you work in the laundry there. Okay. How long have you worked in the laundry?
Oh, I come here in January, so since January, so 6 months almost.
So let me tell you that you've had opportunities of supervision and you've been revoked. The DA's office in Rapides Parish is opposed to your early release. The sheriff of Rapides Parish is opposed to your release. And the chief of police of Alexandria, Louisiana is also opposed to your release. You have victim opposition. You have 2 victims of your crimes that are adamantly opposed to your early release. What would be your transition plan? Where would you work and where would you live if released?
I would go back to my mother's and go back to my old job, Gilcrease.
Your old job? Okay.
Gilcrease.
Okay. How long have you worked construction?
Last 5 years.
So you're 39 years old. What did you do before that?
I was a cook in a restaurant.
Okay. So both
Right.
of them are very tedious jobs. You ever tried working your anger out while you're working construction?
Yes, sir. On a shovel.
But you still have to harass people. Why?
It's just I don't know, sir. I really don't know.
Okay. And it will be quite frank with you, Mr. Abear. You like rehabilitative programming. You have a problem, anger management. You have a problem, substance abuse. And you have law enforcement and victim opposition. And you have your good time date is right around the corner in October.
Yes, sir.
So I would try to get in as many programs as I can and try to get as much rehabilitative programming under your belt before you're released. I fear if you don't get some anger management, especially anger management, you'll end up right back where you are right now. And you have a mandatory release date in October. And I would try to implore the OC, if it's not available at that facility, ask for a transfer. But you need some programming, okay? Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you muted.
Yes, sir. I don't have any other questions. I see the victims here today. Ms. Heather, would you anything you'd like to say? Unmute your mic.
Okay. Let me just start off by saying that we have a 5-year-old together. The last time that I let him back in my house, he hit me with something in my leg. And my daughter was then not even 4. And she told me that she didn't want her mother to die. So I gave him $200 and I told him to leave. From then on out, it was nothing but harassing. I never let him back into my house. He was coming in because he left a window open behind our Christmas tree. He was taking things. He took Christmas presents that I had just gotten. He has tried to run me off the road. He has flattened my tires. He has threatened me, and anybody else that I choose to be with. He's told me that he would kill me. He has busted in the door where I used to stay. It's an ongoing thing with him, and he does have a drug problem. The 5 years that we were together, it was probably 2 or 3 where he was good. And when things got bad, he would go off for a weekend or a week and I guess just binge. And then he would come back and act like nothing had ever happened. And when my daughter told me that, I was just done with it. I have a restraining order on him. I just don't want anything to happen to me or my daughter.
Okay. Thank you very much. At this time, Marcus, anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, the board will be voting. Hold on, let me get. And this case has been assigned to Mr. Roche, and he'll be voting first.
Mr. Hebert,
Yes, sir.
based on your history of violence against persons, law enforcement opposition, multiple victims, adamantly opposed to your early release, and a lack of rehabilitative programming, your request has been denied.
Ms. Jackson?
This is a
Unmute your mic.
revocation. This is a revocation, correct?
No,
No.
no matter. No matter.
Okay. All right, I'm going to vote to deny your request for early release. I think that you have not had sufficient programming. I feel like you pose a risk to the pose a risk to the victim in this case, and you've had insufficient program. I think you need anger management at a minimum and substance abuse treatment. So my vote is to deny. But I'm showing that this is a revocation because it lists the violation as number 4.
Mrs. Jackson,
Mhm.
we have another Hebert on the docket. This is Mark Hebert. You are logged on. to
Jeremy.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hold on.
It's Mark Hebert.
Okay.
If you would, Ms. Jackson, would you do your vote over live because it kicked us out and then brought us back? Do your voting live.
Okay. I vote to deny your request for early release.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to be voting to deny your parole. One reason, there is no contact with the victim whenever you're released. I'm going to repeat that. No contact with victim. You have a law enforcement victims opposition. Also, you need parole with Mark. Get this straight, man. You got it all ahead of you. Don't get yourself in no more trouble. Thank y'all very much.
I don't have any information to add here. There's just no insight that we're able to find on this case. But man, I mean, if it doesn't say it all, just his smug look, right? He's in prison and he's sitting there with that look, and it's just terrifying. Stalking, all that type of behavior. It's the scariest. We see enough of this true crime stuff to know that it so often leads to just something terrible. And good for her by, having, when her daughter said that, for that to be the wake up call to kick him out and then to even stand up here against him. It's scary to think that he's, is out by now. This hearing took place in 2021. Good thing we haven't heard from him, but can you imagine just the fear? What's a restraining order do? Nothing. Nothing.
Last night when I was looking at your material, you got the three big ones: sex crimes, violence, and drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're young. How old are you?
23.
23. So I'm just gonna call out some information for the record because they sent some information over. You've been enrolled in the 9-month program, and your graduation is December the 17th of 2021. Is that still correct?
No, ma'am.
When is it now?
I'm in a 6-month program, and it's January 14th next year.
Okay. You know what? I do see that. It's not in the memo, but I did write that. January the 14th. And you also in the sex offender program. You just completed you're in phase 1 of the sex offender program, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You just started that in July?
Yes, ma'am.
So when do you think you'll be finished with the sex offender program? You don't know?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Do you think you ought to keep it? You ought to complete it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So, and you're being screened for the high set, right? You're in that process.
Yes, ma'am.
And the report says that you're gonna start taking anger management next month.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When I look at your record, explain to me, in 2016, you had an aggravated battery charge. What happened there? What was going on?
I was just around the scene at the time.
Well, how do you get charged?
I don't know. I was just with my brothers now.
Okay. And in 97, you had attempted second-degree murder. What about that?
Same, around the wrong crowd.
Okay. All right. Are your brothers in jail now?
Yes, ma'am.
Your current sex offense involved a young lady who was like 16 years of age. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you indicated in the record in your application for a rehearing that you had a son that was born February the 15th of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations on that. That's your first child?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's supposed to change you. Parenthood is supposed to change you. Now, one of the things that I'm curious about is the fact that you were in June of 2020, this girl must have been pregnant and you were over there choking somebody, another girl. How old was your baby mother? How old is she?
22.
Okay, she's 22. So were you still running around on her?
No, ma'am.
Well, when you do the math, she was pregnant when you were at your girlfriend's house choking her. If the baby was born in February, she was pregnant around that time, June of 2020.
Huh?
You have no comments on that?
No, ma'am.
So
So are you and the baby mother still together?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Let me make you aware of the fact that now that you are a sex offender, one of the things you said is that you don't want to be a deadbeat dad, but because you are a sex offender, the law limits what kind of contact you can have even with your own children.
Yes, ma'am.
And the day is going to come when you get out. You need to make sure you are clear with your parole officer as to what the rules are in terms of having contact even with your own child.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just, that's just what you've done now.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to inform you, as a part of this process, we reach out to the law enforcement community to get their opinion about early release. And all law enforcement is opposed to your early release.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the longest time you spend in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So if you are successful today, tell me what your plans are.
Change my life.
Okay. Where would you live and how would you support yourself?
Get a job. My brother said, when I come home, you already have a job for me.
Where?
In Louisiana.
Okay, but doing what?
Construction.
Okay. Do you think you need a trade?
Yes, ma'am.
What trade would you take if you had the opportunity?
Mechanic work.
Okay. Tell me about your drug use history. When did it start?
When I was like 13, 14.
And who introduced you to drugs?
My cousins.
Cousins, okay. And what did you start using at 13?
Marijuana.
And then what?
That's it.
What about alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall, where did you pick up on the fact that it's okay to choke a girl? Where did you get that from?
No one.
The other violent offenses, you said you were in the crowd, but this domestic violence, that was totally you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had a chance to speak to your victim, your last victim, what would you say to her?
I apologize.
What would you say?
I regret doing it, I wish I could take it back, but I can't.
Right, that's right. Right. Okay. What do you learn from that? What do you learn from this situation? What have you learned from this situation?
Not going through my head right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That's all I had. Thanks for answering my questions. That's all I had.
Mr. Shepherd, how are you? Good morning.
All right.
Did I see somewhere that you said you completed domestic violence programming?
When I was almost finished, but they had shipped me. Concordia shipped me.
Where were you enrolled in the domestic violence program?
Concordia Parish.
What parish?
Concordia Parish.
Concordia Parish. How long had you been in that program?
For 4 months.
Okay, how often did you meet?
Every week.
So it was a 26-week program?
6-month program.
6-month program. And they shipped you to, you're in Bossier?
Claiborne.
Claiborne. They shipped you there before you finished the domestic violence program, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So how are you going to be able to complete that?
I don't know.
And you're supposed to complete the program that you're in now in January of next year, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you told Ms. Wise that your plan was to do better, but that's just talk. Unless you have something specific steps that you're gonna take, then that's just talk, and talk is cheap. So give me some specifics. I don't wanna hear how I'm just gonna do better. How are you gonna do better? What are you gonna do to do better?
Get a job, stay to myself, and
Why would you, what do you mean stay to yourself? You live in a world, your family was involved in criminal activity. How are you gonna stay to yourself? You think that's a realistic expectation that you're not gonna be around your friends and your family? Let's be honest.
No, ma'am.
Well, then why would you say you're gonna stay to yourself?
I don't really hang out like that no more.
I don't know what that means. And what else are you gonna do?
No.
Okay, see, you don't have a plan. You don't have it together.
Ma'am.
I said, you don't have specifics. You don't have, step 1, 2, 3, 4. You're just talking in generalities, and without a real structured plan that you're gonna follow, then you're not gonna do better.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about your GED?
I want to get my GED. Really want to.
Can't you do that in the institution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you think that would be a good idea to get it in the institution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You dropped out in the 9th grade, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I don't know. Bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You made a lot of bad ones.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
my thought is, how are we gonna get you to make good decisions? And just saying you gotta do better is not, gonna get you there. You need a GED. You need a vocational skill, a specific job skill that you know how to do so you can get a decent job. You need to deal with your substance abuse issues, which involves, I didn't hear you say you were gonna, try to get in AA or NA meetings. You have nothing planned. And so without that, Mr. Shepherd, I'm afraid you're not gonna do very well. You gotta have some things, set in stone. But I appreciate you talking to me, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Do we have any visitors?
There are no visitors.
Okay. So would you like to make a statement to the board before we vote?
Sir.
Did you say no? I saw you shake your head, but I didn't hear you.
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Is the board ready to vote?
Yes.
Ms. Wise?
Thank you, sir. I admitted asking the staff, is there any more input you have besides the report that you sent?
No, ma'am, it's still the same.
All right, thank you. Young man, Mr. Shepherd, I believe that you are getting what you need right where you at. The staff indicated you're not a behavior problem, so you are really working on you. And I want you to continue to do that. My vote today is to deny because I want you to spend time taking advantage of every program there. Because of that, you have not completed sex offender treatment, lack of completion of programs. You have law enforcement opposition, and the nature of your offenses is very concerning to me. It shows in the record that you are transitional work eligible. So I don't know if they would move you because of your offense, but that's something you can ask for when you get through with this program, or ask to get moved somewhere where you can learn a trade. Really take your time. I know you want to get out, but for me, it's about you getting the skills you need to stay out. So good luck to you, though, but my vote is to deny.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Ms. Jackson?
All right, likewise, Mr. Shepherd, you're on the right track. You're taking some positive actions. I think you can benefit from completing all the programs that you're currently enrolled in. And in addition, getting your GED while you're incarcerated. Because I can tell you, once you get out, there are going to be so many things that are going to be competing with your attention. You're going to be more interested in getting a job than you are in getting your GED. So I think the best place for you to get it is exactly where you are right now. You have sufficient time that you can work on those things. And so I'm going to vote to deny you today, but I'm going to encourage you to keep working hard, and you'll get there. If you've accomplished all of those things by the time you apply again. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Shepherd, you have 2 votes to deny. I agree with my colleagues. My vote likewise is to deny for the reasons outlined by Ms. Wise. But I would encourage you as well to continue to do the things that you're doing. You're on the right track. Get that GED, get your education, and get out there and get a job once you're done. So good luck to you, sir. But today your parole has been denied.
Right.
I'm kind of like dazed and confused from that one. Really? What did we just watch? You got the 3 big ones: sex offense, violence, and drugs. Not only that, but from what Richard shared, he was charged initially with a lot worse. He was charged with 2nd-degree battery and 5 counts of attempted 2nd-degree murder. Obviously, they didn't feel that that's what he's charged with, and they didn't feel that he should have, he was actually involved, or they had a case on him, or whatever it was. But how do you get such a light sentence? A juvenile charge. He also has, on top of that, there's another charge that he has. He has sexual battery, which I don't know. Then he has that DV. I think what Miss Wise was saying is that he was choking her while she's pregnant. And his interview, it was just awful. I don't know. I mean, you can just feel his lack of anything. The idea that a GED or any amount of programs is going to help. It's you just have to be really naive. I don't know why a judge would look at someone's record.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Reed.
Good morning.
Would you, for the record, tell us your name and DOC number?
My name is Remus Reed, 569-279.
Mr. Reed, my name is Cheryl, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. You see on your screen Mr. Alvin Roche, Mr. Jim Wise, who are my colleagues today. Your case was assigned to me, so I'm just going to jump right in and first read some identifying information, and then we'll start the interview process with you. So you are Remus Reed. You're classified as a 2nd felony offender. You're currently serving a 20-year sentence for possession with intent to distribute cocaine, aggravated battery, and distribution of cocaine. You have a parole eligibility date, January 22nd, 2018. Your good time date has been adjusted to January 4th, 2022. Your full term date is August 12th, 2032. Is that information correct?
I haven't seen a rap sheet yet since it's been adjusted.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be sure we get one sent over to you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I do know for the record, and I want to say this, in the file that I reviewed, I think that you do challenge your release date and say that, something that it should have been in December of 2019. We're not here to talk about that today because we don't have anything to do with your time calculation. We're here to discuss parole.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were, my record tells me rather, that you were removed from work release back in March of 2019. You were in Lafourche,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you got moved to Concordia. Why were you removed from work release a couple of years ago?
It was a misunderstanding of.
Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am. Misunderstanding of not being placed in the dorm.
Okay, so you got a write-up or not?
Yes, ma'am.
You did? Okay. I noticed you've earned some good time credits, 165 days. Tell us what programs you finished.
Celebrate Recovery, Inside Outside Dad. Living in Balance.
Good.
A few more that not really memorizing.
That you didn't get credit for. So all of these have been at Concordia or where?
I've done a few of them at DCI. DCI. I've done one or two of them at Catahoula, and I've done a few of them here at Concordia.
Okay. Yeah. What have you been able to do at Concordia? Do you remember?
I want to say Inside Outside Dad. I want to say Louisiana Risk.
Was that substance abuse?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So let's talk about that. You're here for possession with intent to distribute and distribution of cocaine. Were you a user or a dealer?
No, ma'am. I was a dealer.
Did you use it all?
No, ma'am.
You never used nothing.
I used to use marijuana.
Okay, but no, you didn't. No cocaine.
No, ma'am.
So why were you selling it?
Been hard times. Wasn't always able.
Did you hold a job?
Off and on. They really wouldn't. At that moment, I really wouldn't, focus on being mature. I was young.
How long you been in jail?
Should be approximately 9
years. 9 years.
Yes, ma'am.
What grade you finish in school?
I made it all the way up to the 10th grade.
And why'd you quit?
I had got in a car accident and my credits wasn't all the way up to par.
So your grades weren't good?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you missed school because of the accident?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you just quit going. Have you ever tried to work on getting a GED?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And what about that?
Currently been just pushing forward as in a high set.
So have you taken that test yet?
Took it twice.
Yeah.
Unsuccessful.
So you're still working on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Tell me what the aggravated battery is about.
Aggravated battery in an altercation with.
Did you know that victim?
No, ma'am.
Was it somebody you didn't know?
Yes, ma'am. It was an altercation over a few dollars, some money. It just, went down the wrong road.
What was your part in that? What'd you do?
My part really was allowing him to be in my vehicle from the first place.
Yeah. And what about the metal pipe? Beating him in the head. Did you do that?
No, ma'am. None of that never happened.
Well, it didn't. That's interesting because I have medical reports from the victim about extensive work he had to have done as a result of that.
No such
So
thing.
I wonder how he got those injuries after being in your vehicle.
Only thing happened was a fist fight. No type of weapon or anything of that nature.
Okay. So I'm trying to get at what was that about? I mean, you let him in your vehicle and you and somebody else beat him, but why?
It was really totally a misunderstanding.
Was that over drugs?
Huh?
Was it over drugs?
No, ma'am. Basically, we always, under the influence of alcohol at the moment. This misunderstanding went bad, that's all.
And you didn't know him?
No, ma'am.
Interesting. Okay, so whenever you're released from jail, you say you've been in jail about 9 years. What
Yes,
are your
ma'am.
plans? What thought have you given to where you're going to live? How you're going to support yourself how you're going to support yourself legally?
Basically,
Where are you going?
I'll be going to New Orleans. Either I'm going to be staying with my mother, and possibly, I have jobs that's looking forward to me coming home.
Like what kind of job?
They have a food bank. They serve food to the schools.
Yeah.
That'll be one. Is Revolution Food.
Okay.
And then I have another one would be overnight stocking at Walmart. They looking forward to me being their forklift driver. And then they
Have you worked there before, Walmart?
No, ma'am, but I have done forklift driving for David Chauffin Seafood Company.
Okay.
They're looking forward to having me a part of their crew.
So who's been working on those jobs for you? Your mother?
Yes, ma'am. My mother and my little brother.
Okay. Well, let me just let you be advised that there's opposition to your early release by law enforcement and the victim. You just need to be aware of that. I'm going to defer to my colleagues. I don't have any other questions. Mr. Wise?
Well, Ms. Cheryl, I think you pretty well wrapped everything up. I don't have any other questions. I am saying this, though. Your criminal record speaks for itself. And then you're in the transitional work program and you get moved. Man, you got to just kind of get your business straight. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Roche?
Madam Chairman, you did a real good job. I have no questions.
All right. Is there a statement, Mr. Reed, you'd like to make to us before we vote?
No, ma'am.
Let me ask the staff there at Concordia if there's anything they can add. Ma'am, is there anything you can add to this conversation, Ms. Hall?
Miss Hall.
Hall.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything, are you familiar with this offender?
Yes, ma'am. He has no problems. He does work in our facility and no disciplinaries or anything like that.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Reed, anything else you'd like to say to us?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Your case was assigned to me, so I'm going to vote first. Yeah, I'm concerned about your description of the incident is contrary to what I see in the record. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well there at Concordia. You're holding a job, you're doing well. And I'm glad that you were able to take some programs. My vote today is going to be to deny your parole. You have strong opposition from law enforcement and the victim. You were on supervision at the time of the offense, and you have a good time date coming up in less than a year. So my vote today is to deny your parole. Mr. Wise?
At this time, I'm going to vote the same. My vote is the same.
Mr. Roche.
Madam Chairman, I'm in agreement with my two colleagues this morning, and for the same reasons, I deny his request.
All right, Mr. Reed, today your parole's been denied, but keep doing what you're doing. You'll be out in less than a year, and keep pursuing that plan you got going. I think that concludes our business there at Concordia. So, Ms. Hall, thank you for accommodating us. We are going to adjourn at 10:57.
Well, this hearing took place in 2021, and he's out, and he still is out, so he's managing to stay out. But I agree, it didn't seem he was. Do I believe him that he's never on stuff, that he's only a dealer? Do I believe his story about, oh, I just, it was like a fist fight? But I don't have really much else to add to it. It was just not a reassuring hearing, I think, is a way that I would put it. Richard did share different articles that included different arrests that were made for dealing and different type of, but it really doesn't get into any major details. So I just don't have much to share. It's unfortunate when you get kicked out of work release. That's probably a pretty bad sign. Now you might say, well, maybe they should have paroled him with stipulations versus just sending him out. Maybe they could have said you have to do this and you have to do that, but the parole board didn't even. I just don't think they felt good about his situation getting knocked off of the out of work release, and almost like they just said, whatever, you'll just have to wait for your good time date. But he is still out as of November 2023, almost October 2023, and he was paroled. Well, it'd be going on about a year. So I am rooting for him. Hey, we're rooting for everyone. Hope that they can get their act together. But if he does come back, we'll do his parole revocation hearing. And with that, I'll let you go. Okay, everyone. So as you saw, there was like blasts from the past where these were older hearings that I actually had made, put into like a separate file and didn't upload. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll record a hearing and then put it in a folder in my inbox to say, okay, I'm going to mash this one up with something that might fit with it, or I'll save it to see if they come back, and they don't. And then I'm going through my files and I see, wow, here are these hearings that I recorded that I haven't shared with you yet. There might have been a hearing or two in there that you've already seen, and for that I apologize. But that's basically what happened, and then I'm packing it up and sharing it with you now. There are days, this is my day job. I have a job where I do travel quite a bit, and sometimes I'm not able to get new recordings up. So I thought this would be a good way to make sure that you saw hearings that we have covered, and also allow me time to do the travel for when I can't record these hearings. So thank you for sitting there through with me, and I'll see you on the next one. With that, I'll let you go.